Hey everyone, today we'll talk all about National University of Singapore Faculty of Law. Now, National University of Singapore is one of the top QS ranked universities in the world as well as Times Global Universities. Now, when it comes to their Times ranking or the QS Global ranking, they are always ranked among the top 10 or 15 universities in the world when it comes to their law department or when it comes to faculty of law. Now, I personally believe a lot in QS rankings, and if a university is consistently in the top QS rankings throughout the years, then that is definitely a university that we undoubtedly can say is one of the best universities in the world. Now the QS ranking for Singapore National now the QS ranking for University of Singapore in the world in the law department is normally among the top 10 and 15, but when it comes to Asia, they are normally ranked in the top 3 or in the top 5, so which is something that is extremely prestigious. Now, before we talk more about National University of Singapore, I have to give you a few information and then we will continue with it. Okay, so number one, Singapore, when you hear the word itself, is a great place to live, a developed place as well as a culmination of multiple cultures. It's a very beautiful and culturally rich place to live in. Secondly, the National University of Singapore is very centrally located, connected throughout all parts, and it's a very lush, green, bright campus. It's an old campus because it's been established many years ago. However, the infrastructure is world class, as well as there's a lot of greenery and a lot of parks and beauty surrounding the campus. You'll find ducks and different birds and animals just running around the campus. Trust me, it's absolutely beautiful. Now, because it's National University of Singapore, it provides courses for multiple departments. For example, they have a course in medicine, they have a course in MBA, but we will be focusing on the course in law. So we'll be focusing on the law school at National University of Singapore, or you can call it the Faculty of Law. Now, when it comes to National University of Singapore Faculty of Law, it's like I've said in the beginning of the session again, it's one of the most respected institutes in the world, and the Faculty of Law is consistently ranked in the top QS rankings as well as Times Global rankings. Now, apart from this, number one, what are the courses that they provide? So you can go for an LLB degree, you can go for an LLM degree, or you can go for a PhD degree. My focus in today's class will be more on the LLB degree and a little bit on the LLM degree. So the LLB degree would be a UG degree, undergraduate degree, and the LLM degree would be a PG degree. Now, secondly, how do you apply for it? So because you would be an international student, I'm assuming an Indian student or an international student is watching this video, there is a fixed procedure, a process which not just National University of Singapore but all of the major international universities follow. So what is that process? Okay, so first of all, you decide which course you want to go for. Then you go to the website of the university. You look for that particular course details, what are the subjects, what is the curriculum. Then you go through the deadline, when is the next session starting, and what are the application deadlines, when are the applications starting and when are the applications closing. So for example, if you want to take admission for the 2023 new batches that will start around the month of August, September, the admission process will start this year in 2022 from the month of November. The application forms will begin, or the application process will begin from somewhere around November 2022 and it will continue till, let's say, February 2023. Now within this time period you have to fill your application. Now application filling is of course a detailed process in itself. I'll come to that in the next 2 minutes. Now once you fill your application and all the required documents are submitted, you have to wait for a certain amount of time, and then the university will reply back to you or email back to you and send you an acceptance letter if they have given you an admission. And then there will be further process applying for the country's student visa, and applying for scholarships and many other things. So therefore the application process takes around 5 to 6 months, and every step of the detail has to be done and every step of this process has to be done very carefully. Now, what is the application process and what are the things that you need? Number one, it is always available on the website of the university. So I would suggest you to open the website of the university, choose the course where you want to take admission in, and then look at the specific details that have been provided at the website, because that is the best and the most authentic source of information. Secondly, when the applications will open, you will require some basic elements, or let's say there will be some basic requirements that you need to fulfill. For example, if you're going for a UG degree, they will ask for your class 12 examination results, transcripts, a lot of your co-curricular activities, achievements, and your statement of purpose. Again, they will also ask for your English language requirements. And then when you go for a UG degree, when you go for a PG degree, that means an LLM, they will ask for your Indian Law College degree, Indian Law College scores, transcript, all of those details. Now, so first thing is you choose which course you want to go for. Second is, within that course also you have to choose which all subjects you want to take as your majors and what all subjects you want to take as your minors. That means the system is not like an Indian system where the curriculum is fixed. They actually give you a lot of options to choose from. Even if you want to do an LLM, what specific field you want to focus on. If you want to do an LLB, what are the subjects you want to focus on, and what are the subjects? There are some compulsory subjects, but also there are some optional subjects. So you choose the degree, you choose the subjects, then you open the application form deadlines and you fill the application form. Then in the application form, they will also require a lot of supporting documents like your degrees, your mark sheets, CV, all of those details, as well as your achievements, research papers, etc. You will submit those details. Lastly, they will also have some English language requirements. So all the international universities in the world require foreign students to submit English language criteria details. So what is this? There are two famous examinations throughout the world. They are called TOEFL and the other one is called IELTS academic. So most of the universities in the world accept both the examinations. You can either give TOEFL or you can give IELTS, but just to be sure, you should open the university website, and on the university website they will clearly mention which international English examination you have to clear. So you can go for whatever examination is mentioned on the website. If the university requires you to clear IELTS academic, then you have to submit another form for IELTS academic, give that examination, get the score of the IELTS academic examination, and then you can apply for the university admission. So therefore it's a long process. You have to be very aware of the process, and you have to keep all of these exam results, mark sheets, everything ready by the month of November, December, or maximum January, and only then you will be able to apply. Otherwise you will miss your application deadlines. So now IELTS and TOEFL, what they do, they actually test your English language skills. So because you are coming from a non-English speaking country, it is assumed that you have to clear this examination to prove to the university that you are good enough in English and that you will be able to understand everything that is being taught to you, because the medium of instruction will be English at the university. So all the different colleges in the world have different minimum requirement for your English language score. For example, all the good universities in the world require you to get a minimum band score of 7 out of 9 for for admission in their different courses. Some universities which are not so high ranking, just moderate and low ranking universities, will give you admission even at a band score of 5 or 6, but most of the good universities in the world will tell you to get a band score of minimum 6.5 or 7.5 to get admission in those universities. So English language requirements will also be given on the website of the particular university. Now, this was all about the application process, but there is one more important component of the application process that you have to submit along with your form and all of the degrees and requirements, is a statement of purpose, or you can also call it your personal statement. Now, this personal statement is like an essay. You write an essay, or you write a kind of a letter to the admission department of the university, and you try to explain to them and you try to convince them why they should give you an admission in this university. And it's not like you have to beg or plead them, you basically have to put your case. You basically have to argue why I deserve to study in this university. So you have to talk about your achievements, you have to talk about your motivation, your inspiration, your aim in life, your goal, what will you do when you get admission here, and what are your goals in the future, and how you will utilize the years that you will get to study at National University of Singapore, and how the world or the society can benefit from your work or your degree. So, a statement of purpose is considered extremely important when it comes to all of the universities, all of the major universities internationally. So, apart from your scores, for example, there are two candidates, and both the candidates have similar scores and similar degrees and achievements, but the university admission committee has to decide between these two students. So, how will they decide? They will look at the statement of purpose of both the students, and whichever one has the more convincing, more compelling statement of purpose will have higher chances of getting the admission. So basically, that is your only way. Your statement of purpose is your only way to talk to the university admission committee and to try and convince them why you deserve to get an admission there. So whenever you decide to write your statement of purpose, you should always talk to your teachers, your seniors, and you should try to get as much guidance as possible from people around you so that you write a perfect statement of purpose. Now this was all about the admission process. Now if you don't know which degree you should choose or whether you should go to National University of Singapore or not, let me help you here. Now if you go for a UG degree, the duration of the UG degree will be 3 to 4 years approximately. So you would have to go to Singapore for this much amount of time, and obviously the amount of fee that you would have to pay would also be higher when you go for a 3-4 year degree, because you have to pay for those 3 or 4 years. Second option is you can do your LLB from India, or let's say from any of the good national law universities, and you go to National University of Singapore only for your LLM, which is generally for 1 year. So that way you only have to pay for 1 year abroad, right, which will be a little cheaper compared to your LLB degree. Second thing that you can consider is, if you want to envision, or if you want to work only with international firms, with international companies, and if you see your future being settled somewhere outside of India and working in all of these institutions, then you can go for an LLB degree. That means an undergraduate degree just after your class 12th, because the chances of getting a corporate placement or a job would be higher with a LLB degree done from University of Singapore compared to an LLM degree. Third, if you are really interested in the field of law and you want to do a lot of research, because University of Singapore has an exceptional research environment. So this is a very research focused university, and they will have a very conducive environment for all kinds of research, conferences, projects, research papers. This is a place where you will get to explore different facets of law, and if you are interested in going into academics in the future, or higher education, or want to go into academia, this is again a university which will provide you a very strong foundation and a good platform for it. Third, if you're interested in arbitration, or if you want to work in the field of international arbitration, Singapore has some of the best arbitration seats in the world and major institutions that work in the field of arbitration. And arbitration is the future of litigation. It's an emerging field of law which has actually made a very strong impact in the past decade. And of course, in the future, all the multinational organizations want to settle their disputes through arbitration. Nobody wants to go to court, right? So you can be that Harvey Specter kind of lawyer, but without going to the court, just an arbitrator if you study at National University of Singapore, because in Singapore you will get multiple opportunities to be in touch in the field of arbitration and as well as intern or work with different arbitration firms. Apart from arbitration, international maritime law as well as international commercial law, these are something that are again due to Singapore's geographical condition and being one of the major ports in the world and a huge economic hub. International commercial law as well as maritime law are also something that you will find a great environment for when you go to Singapore, and specifically when you study at National University of Singapore law faculty. So these are the factors that you can keep in mind while deciding whether you want to go to this particular university or not. And now lastly, when you apply to National University of Singapore, of course they have multiple opportunities for international moot court competitions, research papers, conferences, and all the other extracurricular activities, and you will get a lot of international exposure. Now this is a multicultural university. You will get students all across from Asia as well as from the world, and you will also find a lot of Indian students and faculty members here. Now when I specifically talk about faculty members, as this is a global QS ranked university which is among the top 10-15, automatically if you are among top 10 in the QS ranking, it means that QS ranking is given to you based on all of these factors: placement, quality of education, faculty, infrastructure, everything. So of course there is no doubt about the quality of faculty and the teaching department at the university. You will get some of the most renowned names in the field of law teaching at National University of Singapore or associated with National University of Singapore. NUS also has tie-up with a lot of other international major universities in the world. Now apart from this, like I've said, they have a very big campus which is lush green. You can also choose to reside within the campus as well as you can reside in close vicinity of the campus, whatever is appropriate for you. One last thing I want you to keep in mind before going to any international university is to look for a long-term goal. Of course, if you go to Singapore or if you go to some other country, you can always come back to India. You can become a lawyer in India, you can practice here, you can give the judiciary examinations, you can give the IS examinations. You have all the options and all the fields from corporate law to everything open in India. But you should also see what are the options you will get abroad when you go to a particular university. So you should of course look for multiple job opportunities, placements and connections that this particular university has. You should try to go for a university which has a good global ranking. And third, you should look at the particular visa requirements of the country where you're going into. For example, it will be very easy to get a student visa in whatever country you will take admission in. However, work visa requirements are very different in all the countries, and some countries have easy work visa formalities, others have very strict and difficult work visa requirements. Similarly, there are some countries where after working for a few years, you will be eligible for a permanent residency or a permit or even for a citizenship. And some countries will easily provide you citizenship or permanent residency. However, some countries of the world will have very strict laws when it comes to migrants. So therefore, if you want to invest a lot of your time and lot of your money studying 2 years or 3 years in a foreign country, you should also see whether after 5 years or 10 years or 15 years, you will be eligible to get some permanent residency or some citizenship in that country. And I think that is a factor you should always keep in mind when you try to decide which particular country you want to go for your education, because wherever you go, the work visa and the citizenship requirements are going to impact your future in that country, right? But of course, even if you go to National University of Singapore, the visa requirements in Singapore and the citizenship requirements in Singapore are very broad. They are very good, convenient, and one of the best in the world. So this is a great place to settle also if you want to settle in the future. And again, nobody is stopping you. There is no limit at it. You can do your LLB from University of Singapore. You can do your LLM from Cambridge, and you can do your PhD from Oxford, and you can just settle somewhere in the US. So basically, nobody is stopping you. You can just live anywhere in the world wherever you want to. However, always have a rough idea about the different visa requirements of that particular country. So I think this is all the information that will be very helpful for you in deciding whether National University of Singapore is something you should go for or not. So yeah, this was the session for you guys. Thank you for tuning in.